Welcome to the final episode of this 4-episode introduction of Heartful Communication. Today, we will learn how to gain a fresh perspective on what we may perceive to be difficult relationships. The way this is done in a Heartful Communication workshop is through a very special exercise.
The way that I enjoy doing it is I take a piece of paper and I draw 2 feet or 2 shoes, usually feet, on the piece of paper. Just give me a regular A4 sheet of paper and I put it on the floor. When somebody has a very challenging relationship with someone else in their life, and sometimes that person may, by the way, have passed, but it continues to really disturb, trouble them. One of the most extraordinary ways that I've used for myself and that I've seen that can transform that relationship, whether it's in an inner way or in an outer way, is when somebody finds the capacity, the willingness, the generosity of heart to say, let me really try to understand this other human being by becoming them temporarily. So maybe I can tell you about one particular example which I've always remembered. It was so powerful and so moving. I was asked to go and work with some young people. They were late teens or early 20s, who were like the rejects of society, you could say. They had been thrown out of school. They had been thrown out of their families. They were like, they had formed a kind of gang almost, you know. And they were very angry, very bitter, often very violent in their behavior. And I was asked to go spend some time with them and see if this whole approach of nonviolent communication could be offered in such a way that they could use it. Now, that was quite a challenge because you know, I'm old and they were from a very disadvantaged background and I'm not. Anyway, we connected because I really liked them, and through humor and respect. You know, I respected them. Anyway, one of the things that after working with them for some time in the morning that I found I was able to do because we had a connection was this exercise of seeing if you could stand in the shoes of somebody who you have had a lot of difficulty with. Now, this young man told us a story about how he was completely alienated from his father. Now, I'm not going to use his language, but you can imagine that every other word was a swear word in his way of expressing. There is so much anger in that. So he had first of all told us with great colourful language about how much he hated his father, who had beaten him, thrashed him from when he was little, and he had then left home, and you know he hadn't actually seen his father for many years actually. So he told us about this, but he had enough willingness to try to understand, because of course there was a pain inside this young man. You know, this wasn't only anger. Beneath anger is always another emotion, always. Hurt, deep pain. So he said he was willing to have a go. In front of the others, by the way, enormous courage. So first of all, I let him talk again about his father. And then there was a moment of pause. And I said, do you feel ready to now see if you could be him and enter into his world? And he said, yeah. So when you feel that they're ready, then you invite them to then take a step forward and stand on the feet, in the shoes. And it's that movement of, you actually physically move your body into the shoes. And then you begin to speak using I. Not they or you or he or she, nothing. I am. So the first thing they need to say is, I am, and then he used his father's name. And he started to talk as his father. And he had his eyes closed. Now, what you also need to know is that all the other young people in this, this room had been up until this exercise, joking and, using foul language and so forth. But nevertheless, they were present. But when this exercise happened, there was pin drop silence. And he stood into his father's shoes and he started to talk. And he said things like, you are going to have a better life than I ever had. And his hand is going like this, like he's beating, like he's thrashing. And he said, you are going to be a man. You're going to make something of your life. You're going to be somebody. You're going to achieve something. You're not going to have the shit life, the terrible life that I had. And his hand is going like this, and then tears start to roll down his face. And he's got tattoos, he's piercings, this guy, tough as nails. And, I'm standing next to him, by the way, and I have my hand just very gently on his back, just very gentle support. And so, he's saying all this, and then he stops, and he has tears in his eyes, and he opens his eyes, and he looked, and he said, he used a swear word, and then he said, he loved me. My father loved me. He wanted the best for me. And some of the other young people also had tears, and I had tears in my eyes, realizing that this was the most extraordinary moment for this young man, of understanding that although the action, the behavior, the strategy, the approach of his father was horrible, it hurt him in every way, it humiliated him, it physically hurt him, it like beat him down. He thought that he was nothing because of all this. By standing in his father's shoes, he realized that his father didn't know any other way to try to get him to be somebody, except by trying to make him into a man by these beatings and so forth, But this realization that his father cared about him, that he wanted him to have a better life. And then, he said, I'm moved thinking about it even all these years later. He said, I'm going to go and try and find my father. Now, I don't know whether he ever did, because time passed and I lost contact with that group. And I have remembered that example always, and I often tell it in our workshops. It's very moving for everybody to hear this. And I did tell it in a workshop here, actually, once, and a middle-aged man came up to me in the coffee break, after we had this experience, and he said, I also hated my father. He beat me to make me study. The other young man, it wasn't to study, it was, just to be somebody. But he beat him regularly before exams. And he said, I have also hated my father. And now I'm beginning to see that he so wanted me to do well, to fulfill my potential. And he was weeping, this man was weeping also. So this is what you might call radical empathy. it requires a lot of courage, to be willing to do this, because then the story, the narrative that you've had for perhaps most of your life is shattered. That narrative which you held and which in some way was a defense for you, some kind of a justification for you, that narrative is no longer there, and a new narrative is there. And it can be very, very shattering. And yet, that's what seems to me that transformation is all about. Something has to shatter. Something has to go. Something has to be destroyed, whether it's gently or violently, whatever, for some new awareness and new possibility of living our lives in a different way, with more authenticity, more courage, more love, actually. In other words, that it's the heart that is increasingly guiding how we are and the choices that we make in life.
Thank you for tuning in to this 4-episode introduction of Heartful Communication. If you'd like to explore Heartful Communication further or participate in an online or in-person course, please write to hc@heartfulness.org. In conclusion, Liz will talk about what lies at the very heart of heartful communication.
It seems that, as human beings, our focus is so often on what it is that divides us, how we're different from other people, and that those differences somehow become a problem. Margaret Wheatley, who's a very wonderful management consultant and very wise person, I think, she said, it's not our differences that divide us. It's our judgments about each other that do. Because actually we have so much more in common with each other than divides us. And one thing that really moved me when I read about it, that seems to talk about this oneness, is what happened when Apollo 8, the space mission, American space mission of the Apollo spacecraft number 8, set off on its mission, which was to go around the moon. This was before the moon landing, which I don't remember what that was, 9 or 10 or something, anyway, Apollo. And the astronauts on board, everybody was focused on going to the moon. So the spaceship is going to the moon, all the cameras are focused on the moon, and this is the mission. And then one of the astronauts suddenly said, I'm going to turn the camera around. The cameras now are pointing back at the Earth. And for the first time in human history, as far as we know, human beings see their home, their planet, this beautiful, fragile oasis hanging in the darkness of space. For the first time, they see the Earth. And the astronauts reported that they were flooded with emotion of seeing this world which had no divisions. There were no country boundaries. They didn't exist. There was no sense of these people are with this religion or with this country or with this belief. Or he said this overwhelming sense of oneness. We're in this together. This is our world. our human, our human condition. We're in this together. We are actually one. This vision of oneness and unity was so powerful, not only for the guys in the spaceship, but also for the people back who were looking at the screens. Apparently the people in NASA who suddenly saw the Earth had the same response of extraordinary feeling of emotion, of gratitude, I suppose, of love for their planet, and also deep sorrow of realizing the extent of the divisions which were there, of the suffering, of the injustices which were there that were created. So this sense of oneness, unity, if you really want to go down to the real kind of depths of heartful communication, you could say that is, the intention of this is that we really do find how we connect human to human, what we have in common with each other, and that the process of heartful communication is one of the ways that we have at our disposal to bring it into practice. So when we change our consciousness to needs consciousness, when we change our language, because language creates our reality. We think in language. We're creating our world by what we think, and we're using language to do that thinking. Hafiz said, the words that you speak become the house that you live in. So when we become more conscious of the language we're using and the power of it, the energy, words have vibration, they have energy. And those words, if we use them advisedly and with care, just the choice of language can change our perception of the world, of other people, of an experience, of an interaction, of ourselves. So this focus is, what is it that we have in common? How can we find that connection where really we're moving towards increasing oneness and unity, which is what I'm absolutely convinced that we long for.
Sit comfortably and close your eyes softly and gently. Feel a healing energy move up from the earth into your toes, feet, and ankles. Feel your toes relax and your feet relax, and allow your ankles to relax. Now feel this healing energy move up to your knees. As it moves up, it relaxes your calf muscles. Feel this energy remove all the tension from your knees. Now it is moving further up your legs, into your thighs. Feel your thighs relaxing. Now the energy has moved into your hips and waist. Feel them relax. As the energy moves up, your lower back is relaxing. And your stomach. Now the energy has moved into your chest area. Feel it relax. Feel the energy move up your back and into your shoulders. Feel your upper back relax. And feel your shoulders simply melting away. The energy is now moving into your arms. They too are getting relaxed. Feel all the tension from your elbows leaving. And as the energy moves into your forearms, they too are getting relaxed. Remove all the tension from your wrists as the energy moves into your hands and right up to your fingertips. Now move your attention up to your neck. The energy is moving up and relaxing your neck muscles. Now it is moving into your face, relaxing your jaw and mouth. The energy moves into your nose and eyes, relaxing them. Your cheek muscles are relaxed. Feel your earlobes relax. And now the energy is moving all the way up to the top of your head. Feel it relax. Feel your entire body is relaxed from top to toe. Now move your attention to your heart. Feel that a source of light is already present in your heart, and it is attracting you from within. Do not try and see the light, just know that it is there in your heart. Be open and receptive to a very subtle energy flowing into you. Relax into this feeling. If you find your awareness drifting at any time to other thoughts, don't fight them. Let them be. Gently remind yourself that you are meditating on the light in your heart. Allow yourself to become more and more absorbed within. Remain absorbed until you hear further guidance. while keeping your eyes closed, gently come out of the state of meditation. Now gently open your eyes. Reflect on what you just experienced. Try and retain this condition as you return to your daily routine.